I wish I could have a beard. Trust me, if I could have your beard, I would be braiding it like triples and do shit. And
it takes so much time.
Don't care. I would totally.
Well, not time to do. Don't get me wrong. All I'm doing with this is not shaving, but it just takes time to get.
Instead of taking care of this, I'll be taking care of that.
I will say this: switching to this, to shaving my head now, has been an absolute game changer. Like I always just buzz my head with clippers, anyways. Yeah. But taking it down to just the skin with the thing.
You know what I like?
I do it once a day. I just do it once a day.
Oh, good for you. I do it once a week.
Yeah. Well, the problem is whatever grows so sad. So if I don't do anything, I literally just have hair here.
You know what? The only thing that pisses me off, I think the only way I show that I'm older is right here and my hair. So Botox is next. Yeah. And I shave my head. There you go. Those are my two.
But, well, we're sitting here in the Airbnb.
Oh, we started. There we go. Hi, we're back. So San Diego.
Welcome to the Airbnb. We're in the call it the fireside patio chat here.
I like the chairs are comfy. This is way better than the other setup.
I know. Well, everywhere we go, we're moving things up the next level. We've got we were cozy over there.
We're talking thrones, by the way. We were discussing the type of thrones we're gonna get.
Well, all it takes is one podcast with Scott, and you're like, okay, so we need stainless steel tables. We need a spotless space.
We need our own space. So when we have the gym, well, by the way, real quick, we cannot do Barcelona, so we're going to open a gym in Amsterdam instead. The reason we cannot do Barcelona is when we were there, for example, what was that, like November? No.
September.
Yeah. For the Arnold, right? We sent shirts over there to sell. The shirts are still in custom in Spain.
Yeah.
So they are making it impossible to have a small business in Spain for a number of things.
It's a red flag for something that simple.
We could never bring the sandbag, so like it's impossible for us to operate the gym the way I would like for the business in Spain. So we can't do it, unfortunately, in Barcelona. So we'll spend the months there of June anyway. That'll be like somewhat of a vacation almost for us. But the gym will open in Amsterdam. And when we open the gym in Amsterdam, I want one room that we're gonna pimp for the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the chair might be epic. I'm looking into it, but yeah, it's gonna be. You know what we have? We bring Christian, and he's gonna do a mural. He's gonna. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be good.
Are we gonna be those people doing a podcast in front of murals? In front of a mural of ourselves doing a podcast.
That is not a bad idea.
It's like the Inception.
Oh, especially with the throne for me that I have in mind. Oh, yeah, it's on. Well, okay, so am I using a wheelchair then? Because it's StrongFit is coming.
I don't know. You might get some sort of weird like handicap appropriation.
From my American crowd. Yeah, they might get upset. It's like, are you making fun of handicapped people? Yeah. Like, no, it's Professor Xavier.
You morons. Professor X.
Yeah. Whatever.
So this week's episode, though, Julien and I, we were talking earlier today, and we were like,
we do that.
We had done so much about the system lately that we noticed when we had just a conversation podcast with Scott the other day. It was really nice to just get into a kind of a personal story, right? And we hadn't done that in a long time with you, generally. Like we've done some stories, some background.
I talk about it here and there.
A year ago, in the beginning, we had a few more, but. The systems, you've been moving so fast with the system, we've been pushing out information, and I think it's a good time for us to get a little bit more of like why you're doing any of this and where you come from. A bit of the...
And give the context, because people will misunderstand me otherwise.
And by context, I mean like the road from which you came from.
Yes, exactly.
Is the main thing, not just like your overall worldview, because we can get into that forever, but really like the path that you took and then what you're speaking on, the ground you're speaking on now.
Which is, I believe, very important. That's why I think it'll be an important one as well, is I want people to understand where I come from when I say stuff.
Yeah.
Because again, like we talked about this in the last few podcasts, but there's a need to be daddy's voice. But at the same time, daddy's voice, you can just be a dick telling people. Like, for example, I do not like objectivism. Ayn Rand, people, Atlas Shrugged, all that stuff, like personal responsibility and everything. For me, it sounds really like an excuse to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Personally, to each his own, just objectivism is not my thing. If anything, I'm a liberal.
Yeah.
I'm not a progressive, that's for sure. But like the whole personal responsibility, I guess it depends on how you look at it. That is not per se my thing. At the same time, I do believe sometimes you need daddy's voice. You need to hear where certain things have to be conquered. Well, I'll put it this way. Certain things in life need to be conquered. They're not given.
Yeah.
Like knowledge is stolen, not given. There was that incredible ramen soup, it was called Ramen Heads, documentary about the best ramen chef in Japan. And he says at some point, he said, no, the knowledge I stole from my master. It was not given to me, I stole it. And I expect my apprentice to steal it from me. He doesn't give anything.
Yeah.
Zero. He doesn't coach, he doesn't teach. It's like it's up to you to get the stuff from him. And there's a part of life that's a big ass plane.
Never fails.
Yeah.
Never.
And I think there is a part of life that needs to be understood as such, because in the world we're in with coaching and the fitness industry, we always that thing where things can be bought. Like I'm going to buy a program, I'm going to buy coaching and everything. But there's a part where the only thing that can be done is by you, for you, by you, and you need to hear that sometimes. Like at some point, you do the work.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't want to sound, because you know me, I'm a humanist first. I don't want to sound like that dick.
My question is, how does that contradict then with personal responsibility? Are those not kind of the same?
No, I guess, yes, I guess it is. But just to me, sometimes personal responsibility is a way of, like, for example, there was an argument, like, you know, when people say, well, it starts with us. The system, like, we make the change, it's not this, and like, that's not true either. Like, if you think, like, for example, changing the American government starts with you making voting, bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to change the way Trump behaved. No, it's not true. Like, so the problem with not personal responsibility per se, but the way objectivism has transformed and what people use as personal responsibility now is a way to give you an illusion that you have control over things where you don't.
I see.
That's my problem with personal responsibility.
Yeah.
I think it's being used on things where that to me is complete bullshit, because no, you do not have control of everything. So a lot of people, I think, sustain that illusion of control in their life by saying personal responsibility, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But you know, but otherwise, yes, you're right. It is a personal responsibility aspect. I just don't like the way it's being used in what I see now. I think it's just another way of selling bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Does because it does often get scooped up with a lot of rah-rah shit too. You know, that's the thing,
right,
a lot of fake inspiration.
Right, and I think it's just a way to give you an illusion of that you have control of your shit.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you don't. That's one of the rough things I learned about life, is sometimes you don't. There are things, yes, that you have to go conquer. By the way, there's a difference between you being in control and you going and conquering stuff. It's not the same.
Yeah. So you talk about, though, like, where you come from in life, right? And those, and those, some of those hard lessons, like you described, you know. I think we should just start in the beginning so we can actually kind of understand a bit of just really where you came from. We've touched on some anecdotes of this in the past, but I don't know that we ever really kind of ran through your formative years, at least.
Yeah, well, even up to now, I can explain where it comes from. Do you want to go from Ernest Becker perspective, or do you want to go?
Let's start with that.
So why Ernest Becker? He's American philosopher, right? He's a psychoanalyst. Like, really, he followed the work of Sigmund Freud. I mean, and others, obviously, but he's, you know, I think he did a very good job at translating the work of Freud for today's audiences. We're talking like his work, Denial of Death, was in 1973, I believe. And he talked about what is called his immortality project. For him, and pretty much he's right, the key element of human psyche is the fear of death, but on a very, very deep level. And our way out of it, we call that, is to create an immortality project, right? To want to have something that stays past us. This is where we fight for a cause.
That's where, like, you know, beyond a certain point, men who have accomplished whatever often then start digging in on legacy. Right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Right?
But so you make a progress to get there, because it gives you what you think is control over death in a way, something that will sustain you. And once you're there, then you build it even more, because you want something to live past you. Because if there's something that lives past you, then you're not really dying. Yeah. And that's really the point, right? And so there's that pull that comes from there. And so all of that, like building your fortune, your legacy, he called that the vehicle for heroism. That your only way to build an immortality project at your core is to make yourself a hero. And so you have a vehicle for heroism that you build throughout your life. And you have certain values that for you make you the hero of your story. And one of the big part about that is most people are ashamed of what being a hero means. It doesn't mean just being Achilles and torching people in battle. That's only one of the things. But if you go a little bit past that, you realize the number of things that deep inside you consider that make you the badass.
Yeah.
I mean, and your past experience from a child all the way to an adult shapes that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to go into.
When you talk about that as a vehicle for heroism, is also that as a vehicle is taking you from whatever your past is as well. Meaning that is an important thing, that it's not just an end target. It really it does have to be. It is truly.
It's
a
continuous.
Yeah.
Because if you look, especially in psychoanalysis, obviously formative years, child is so important, but there's no really long-term plan on all this. It's that constant thing that shapes every traumatic event, that shapes you into the next one, and will form that image that you have inside that allows you to finally be able to face death without that ridiculous fear that takes away humanity always.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. It was fascinating. But for me, it's very true, because if I look at my life, how it shaped me, I think it will allow people to understand a bit better where I come from on some of the stuff and why I get so frustrated at certain things. So sometimes it's not like I'm not disdainful of people or stuff like that. It's just like your stuff goes straight against what I need to survive.
Yeah.
And so that's why sometimes I'll be a bit more harsh maybe than I should be or whatever, but you don't understand the battle, my battle to get here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Let's start just in the beginning. Parents.
Right. So I'll start with my grandfather. He was actually a very famous political man.
Okay.
His name is Christian Pinault. He was one of the leaders of the Resistance in France, and he was prime minister for a day, I think. But he was a very famous, because then the government just kicked him out. But he was prime minister for a day. He was a friend of, so he was the foreign minister for France, stuff like that. He went through Russia in Trotsky private train. You know who Trotsky is?
Dangerous
You
move.
fucking hick. Yeah, you know who Trotsky is. Yeah. Oh, there you go. See, he's not a complete hick. I know, but he did that. Like, so he had memorandum from all the people in Europe, like the people he met. That was crazy. You know, one of the most badass thing I've ever heard is Orson Welles saying, "I never met Stalin," but the way he said it, because he had met everybody else.
Yeah.
So there was nothing more badass than Orson Welles with his voice saying, I never met Stalin.
Yeah. Like, Stalin who?
No, but the way he said it, because he knew Roosevelt, he knew everybody. So the way he said, I didn't meet Stalin, it's like, no, I didn't meet, like, Brian McKenzie or whatever, like almost like it was the most badass thing I've ever seen on an interview. But my grandfather can say, no, I didn't. He was the Suez Canal stuff, like, so he was there to sign for the French, like, so he's a piece of French history. When I went to do my passports when I left the US, I had lost my passports, I had nothing, right? What saved me is that the vice-consul at the France consulate in LA, I did a thesis on my grandfather.
Oh, no shit.
So when I gave him my last name, he was like, who? And he was like, oh my God. So we started talking. He was like, and that's how I got my passport done that day. And I know, like, some nepotism, baby. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what my grandfather, but so World War II, all that stuff, he had 9 kids, plus the 9 official, and then all the dude.
Some non-standard.
Yes, he was not a good-looking man at all, but political manpower, like all that stuff. But
they always say that though with politics, like in the U.S., it's that Washington D.C. it's like Hollywood for ugly people. We can all network and you can all get all the things because power has the same effect as pretty.
Exactly. And so, but he ended up in Buchenwald, the concentration camp, but he was in prison under a false name. Otherwise, they would have killed him on sight.
Oh,
They didn't know they got him. So they kept looking for him in France when he was in Bowenwald. But he was with Jean Moulin, which was a very famous French resistant. And he was, you remember Klaus Barbie? Klaus Barbie, he was one of the main torturers for the Gestapo. He got prosecuted like years and years and years back. He was one of the major SS people, right? And my grandfather was one of the witnesses there because he was one of the guys who got tortured by Klaus Barbie, lasted 18 months in Bowenwald, and after that asked for Germany to come back in Europe. So he's really a piece of history in France. He was part of the Sonder Commandos, people who carried the body of the Jews, whoever got gassed, just the Jews, but because the gypsies got it, the homosexual, everybody, from the gas chamber to the crematoriums. So that's what they were called, the Sonder Commandos, because they carried the body and burned them and everything. So he woke up almost every night screaming and crying until he died at 80 something. And at the end of his life, he wrote children's books.
Really?
And I got a few that I got to read to my daughter. So
nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So my father grew up in that. And so, little story, when he was 7, so lots of mouths to feed. World War II past France, people don't understand what it was. It was bad. Like it scarred the French psyche to this day. Not so much the war as after the war. It was really bad. So there was not enough mouths to feed. Not enough food for all the mouths they had to feed, right? And he's on the beach. He's 7, 8 years old, and there's that woman who comes and like, oh my God, your kid is so pretty and everything. So, you want him? He's yours. Give him away on the beach. That's why I have 2 last names. You know my second last name?
Yeah.
De Chezo? Yeah. It's the adoption name of my father. They gave him on the beach. They gave him away on the beach.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So he went away when he was 7, came back, and when he was like 18 to ask basically my grandfather, so why did you give me away? And he said, yeah, I sacrificed my kids to my career. Yeah. Jeez. At least he owned it. Yeah. He was like, all right. So my father was not the most stable person to start with.
Yeah.
I give him.
I feel like that's a foundation
maybe not
for
excuses,
some
but reasons.
Right.
Right. So he becomes an actor when he's 17, 18, and he had, stuff. And so he had 4 wives. I mean, you name it, right? And my mother was number 3.
Okay.
Right. So my brother that I talk about all the time is actually my half brother.
Okay.
Because that was wife number 2, which actually was worse than my mother. So he knew my father knew how to pick them. So his wife number 2 was actually crazier than mine. I didn't think, amazingly. Yeah. So that's my brother was one more fucked up than I am. But basically, he was as much of a coward as you can be. So he just had 4 wives. So me, when I was, I don't know, like 12, he met his first wife around 12 or something like that. And then he went to take care of her kids, her 2 kids.
He goes.
Off he goes. Not that, I mean, they split when I was 5. Okay. So there's so much layers to this. So when I'm 5, my mother decides to leave. So she left for a year. Left me with him when I'm like 4 or 5. So he takes care of me, does all that stuff. She comes back when I'm 5, and hell started. When she came back, I don't know if she was different before, but then that's when the abuse started, the beating, and she basically kept on torturing me for the next 10 years after that.
Was she a drinker or?
No, just fucking insane.
Really?
Insane witch from hell. Never did drugs, never did all that stuff. There's 2 kinds of abuse. I take the physical over the mental any day. I got both.
Yeah.
Whip me with the belt, the wrong side and everything. I'm like, bring it on. Like I go to school and then I had the fucking marks on my back and everything. Like, and my father was like, what was that? I was like, oh yeah, she hit me. Back then, it's like, yeah, well, that's what you get.
Yeah.
You don't realize, but like, no, she was like, you realize years and years later, but some people, when they say like they have issues, no, some people have this borderline mental illness. I can't. To this day, I barely talk to her. I try to talk to her because of my daughter, because she wants to know her grandmother. And I had a conversation through emails where she's blaming me for it still. When I was like, say, why don't you want to talk to me? I'm like, well, I go into it. It's like, you were this and this. He was like, well, yeah, but you were this kind of kid or this stuff. You were very whiny or stuff like that. And I'm like, this is 40 years ago and she can't let go.
Yeah. And 40 years ago to a child.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's not like an adult did something to you 40 years ago you can hang on to because there's reason.
No, but she's telling me. She's telling me in the email, like I asked, like she was like, because she got married 4 times too. The second husband, I asked him, and he said that I was a very good mom. You were the problem. I'm like, well, because you probably didn't have a choice to say anything else. But like, oh yeah, so there's 2 sides. There's my father and my mother was that. So it leaves me with him for a year, and I'm 5, and she comes back and takes me with her. And of course, he didn't fight for it because he never did for anything in his life. But that's when my life started. Hell started was when I was 5. She takes over, and then this is just fucking torture for the next 10 years. And no one intervenes because everybody's so fucking scared of her. Because she's scary. She's a small woman, but very beautiful woman, but fuck me, man, just fucking psychotic.
Yeah.
And so the abuse, and again, I'll take physical over mental any day. Yeah. Bring it on. I don't mind, but fuck. And so I go see him on the weekend and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm a kid, so he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine," stuff like that.
So at that point, you're pretty much having to just internalize all of that, right? Like, because you don't have anybody.
No, so I have my brother, right, at the time.
Right.
So from 5 to 13, my brother is still there, somewhat functional. He's a drug addict back then too. But okay, talking about my brother, when he was 12, he lived like 4 days on the street, like full blown on the street, because his mother kicked him out, just like that. His mother was crazier than mine. Yeah. So he had an older brother that was everything to the mom. He never existed, so he was kicked out, beat to a shit too, abused and stuff like that. So he didn't make it. Yeah. Like he had severe stuff. But he was the kindest soul in the world, and he's the one really who taught me how to think, like my brother gave me everything. But at the time he's 18 years older than me. So at the time he started 24 and he's very much an alcoholic and drugs, but he's somewhat under control. Yeah. Still, and he's basically the one raising me, because when I'm there, my father doesn't do shit, so he's the one raising me. And then I reach about 12, 13, where my father decides to sell the apartment where we stay, because he's going to move with his new wife. And that's when really, for me, things fell apart, basically, because now I have no home. I don't have my brother. He's starting to deteriorate now. And I don't even have that apartment that was my... What do you call that? My cave in the world.
This is the one place you have.
The one place. When he sold it, that broke me. I was 12, 13.
I also think it's important for people listening to understand, too, that we've talked about in the past, where you kind of fit on the autism spectrum, and where a lot of that... A lot of the need in that, though, involves safety and feeling safe and having at least, like you said, like the cave, a little corner.
Stable, like super, yeah.
And while that's...
like none of this.
And while that's a need that is kind of inherent with, I don't like using the word condition, but like with the way that is...
The sensitivity that comes with it.
You had to kind of be raised in what sounds like the opposite of that also.
Continuously, because it's back and forth with that fucking crazy witch from hell. Who's, when I'm there, is... But by the way, this is the most harmful thing for someone like me, because like one day it's okay, and the next day, and you don't know what you've done. And at that age, you think it's you, always. Yeah. Because you're getting beat up by your mother, so therefore you did something wrong, but you just can't figure out why. Yeah. Or what is it that you did? Did you say something? Did you not say something?
Things are so binary at that age too, because you're like, it was right, it was wrong, I was good, I was bad. It was, if this was this, then I did something wrong. Like your reality is pretty black and white, so it's pretty difficult to to be able to see rationally.
And everything hits me 10 times harder than most people because of the sensitivity and stuff like that. So school is failing me because that's a French system, so I'm not doing well, and that's fucking... So every time, like when I have bad grades, she freaks out, and so the whole thing is just, it fucking takes out of, like it's that continuous thing. Yeah. And so I grew up in that until I'm 14, and I decide to run away with my uncle in Africa. Yeah. Before I get to 14, there's something else I got to put, because basically I'm 8 and sexual abuse. So
on top of all of that,
right? So I don't know if there was sexual abuse from my mother. I don't think so. I think she just beat the shit out of me. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's something weird when I'm 4 or 5, but I don't remember. Yeah. It's very blurry. I can't tell you. I think there's something somewhere. I just don't know. Yeah. But when I'm 8, I do remember that one. There was a guy. He was like 19. Right? And we are in the south with my father, and he wants to basically play doctor, All right. And say,
Seems fishy now in hindsight. Yep.
if it was a girl.
Listen, you're not as gullible now.
No, but the thing is, I had 2 girls asking me already to play doctor before when I was 5. Oh yeah, I got in so much trouble. Like in the same South like that. I got caught. I'm 5 years old with 2 gypsy girls dancing naked around me. That did not go well. Apparently, they brought the guns. They wanted to shoot me, my dad, everybody. But yeah, the whole village had to come. Oh yeah, because they were dancing without underwear in front of me. I don't remember, unfortunately. So I was already going that route, and then had plenty of girls teaching me doctor stuff. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the guy comes and he's like, what do you mean? And then he starts kissing me. I'm like, first of all, whatever. Yeah. And he's like, and he wants to touch me everywhere. And he sucked my dick. And I'm 8, so I have no idea what's happening. I don't even get hard or anything. But at some point, I'm like, oh, stop touching me. It's weird. But it's more like someone, poking you. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so the first time, I don't really see anything in it. It's someone grabbing your nuts. Mm-hmm. Drunk, with your friends, plenty of that stuff happened. You just don't remember. Let's be honest, right? There've been hands. You don't even know what happened.
There's probably pictures out there. You never know.
Right, exactly. Right. But the one I heard is actually this, in a way, this second time. Because he's like, I want to do it again. And I said, no, I don't want to. He said, yeah, but if you don't, I'll tell your dad. And I went, okay. And that's the one that sticks, is that fucking one. And then so he did it again, and I hated every fucking second of it. Yeah. Because I said no, and he forced me. Yeah. So that one. The first one was exploration.
And you're stuck in the situation too where you're like, am I going to be in trouble for this?
I think I'm in major trouble. If he tells my dad, what? Yeah. But then
So then you're what? You're just handcuffed to the situation.
Right. And so I fucking hate every second of it. And at some point I'm like, no. Because he's asking me to suck his dick. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But like, so he keeps touching me, and I'm like, I'm done. And then the third time he has to do it. And I was like, no. He's like, I'll tell your dad. I was like, I'll tell him myself right now. He's like, fuck that. And that's when I saw him freaked out. And I was like, you son of a bitch. Yeah. And that's when I understood. But so already, authority put me into that. Mm-hmm. The reason I was forced to do it is because otherwise the authority, my father, who was, that guy, I was going into trouble because of him. It doesn't have to make sense. That's the way it is for an 8-year-old. Yeah. Right?
Well, and I think but I see that in you, the way you are with learning, teaching, coaching, and everything even now, is that taking anything on blind authority is not the way it works. And nothing is going to come by without getting questioned. Right. It's motives, it's everything. We have things we get all the time. Some email stuff today was like, seemed like a good idea, and it's like, oh, this is just a hustle.
I don't like it.
Like whatever this is.
I don't like the tone.
And so it does put you in a situation where you can be, maybe not you, but like you can be more closed off to things.
I am. No, I am to conclusions. Yeah. That's all. So first of all, like you have to, that man was weak his entire life. He destroyed my brother. Left him to die in conditions that I will never forgive anyone in my family for letting my brother die in the way he died in conditions no one should die in, especially him. He was one of the kindest soul, and the world lost one of his greatest minds, which is.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Your brother, you've mentioned this a lot to me. That you said your brother's one of the smartest human beings you've ever met.
The sharpest and smartest to this day. Not one of the smart. He had the greatest mind I've ever seen about literature.
And it's hard for me to even wrap my head around that coming from you. Like, can you give me can you describe for that?
Philosophy, literature. Yeah. He had read all of Karl Marx and understood it by the time he was 13. Yeah. He was going around at the local communist party thing and explain to them what Marxism meant. He had read Nietzsche by the time he was like 18, 19, but again, understood. Everybody reads that shit and everybody memorizes it, but they don't understand the stuff. He did. Like he was, when he came to literature, not math, but literature, philosophy, like he schooled me on, he's the one who got me to read Freud and Nietzsche, and he's the one who taught me chess. Like he had that kind of a mind when it came to literature and philosophy and everything. The number of books he read and assimilated is out of this world. Yeah. When he came to philosophy, when he was like he's known because he's the one who got like a 19 out of 20 in a philosophy degree where we call baccalaureate going, which you don't get.
Yeah.
He was one of the greatest mind of this. That.
And was it drugs? Was it drinking? Was it both? Was it all of it? Was it?
Well, it was his mother that killed him. Really.
Everything. That's what I mean too. Is like by drugs, and all of those are coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So what killed him was I was 20. I got a phone call from my father. They found him in the Seine, in the river. So they said suicide. We don't know because his body was so beat up. There's a good chance he got killed and not suicide. Beat up and everything, but he was going there no matter what. Mm-hmm. It's death one way or another. Yeah. Like the last time I met him, he had he was living on the street. He had an apartment, but still basically was homeless, living on the street, incapable of holding a job, even though he was the smartest. He had one great love of woman that he did everything he could to throw her away, to push her away, and he succeeded eventually. Could not hold a job. He ended up on the street at the end, even with an apartment or not. He would pass bad checks, do drugs, alcoholic, do drugs, but you have to understand, we're so fucking strong in the family. I've seen him one day, he took ether, right? So he takes amphetamine pills, grind them into a powder, take ether to dilute it, put it in a syringe, shoved it in his forearm. It burned everything from here to there. He had the scar to the day he died, all over his forearm for where the stuff went in. Passed out 2 hours, woke up, went, what just happened? Went on to his day. I've seen him down a bottle of whiskey, gin, Malibu, and then went to do the bars where we were and shit like that. He was fucking the amount of alcohol. Yeah. That dude was, by the way, 160 wet. 5'8", 5'9". He was on the other side of the family, not me. It doesn't look like me at all. It was insane. But the amount of, I've seen him with those weird bumps all over his skin, from head to toe, including his face. Really? Everywhere. But not red or anything, just everywhere. He looked like a mutant, right? He goes to to do his blood tests. And when you're normal from 0 to 200, he's at 14,063 on everything, where the people look at him going he's like, all right. He kind of drinks, but no drugs, no nothing, because he would take, he would go to a pharmacy and take every single pill there was, right? 3 weeks, comes back, everything is within perfect range, and goes back to it. I don't know what we have in the family, but fuck me, we are very hard to kill. Yeah. And so he went downhill like that until at some point, and I knew it because we always understood each other, we had the same mind. He was almost twins, in the sense of, I was younger, so I was not as smart as he was, but we could have conversation with the family where he would talk to the person in front of him, I would talk to the person in front of me, but really we would talk to each other through those conversations. So I would listen to his conversation and then through mine. That was our favorite game. Yeah. And go and stuff like that. And I'm the only person who understood him, he's the only person who understood me. It was that close. But at some point, even me, he went on the other side of the mirror. Mm-hmm. I could not understand him. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, now he's crazy. Yeah. And then he went downhill really fast from there. And
I think from that downhill slide, right? For you, the thing that I recognize,
it's a rough
one. The thing that I recognize in you though a lot is you have a huge problem with people wasting potential.
Yeah.
It hurts. And I think that's the root of it, right?
You remember the Green Mile with Tom Hanks and everything? And he's he's talking about killing, what's his name? Mm-hmm. Clark, whatever his name,
Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan, thanks. And and he said, whenever I meet God, and what do I tell him? That it was my job to kill one of his angels? Right, so I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God, but let's say for whatever reason, I go up there and I meet God. And what do I answer when he say, how come you didn't save him? And that's how he felt. I did not save one of his angels. So what's your excuse? Reason, whatever you are. And so to this day, we lost the greatest man I've ever seen as a species. It haunts me every single day. Even past the fact that he's my brother, it's look at if anybody had been kind. 17, 18, and I have my own issues to deal with at the time. I couldn't do it. Don't get me wrong. I blame myself for it every day. But fuck, if there had been a person of kindness in this world who maybe could have taken him in, talked to him at the right time or whatever, that's how you change somebody's life. I've seen it with the stuff we do. You can change people's life. Just one word, one white stuff, one book, right. That wasn't done.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me. And so when I see people wasting their potential and giving me fucking excuses about it, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Don't come to me with that shit.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea what the price is to waste your potential and how pathetic your excuses are compared to the shit that I went through, that he went through to make it here. Like, no. So that drives me completely insane when I hear those pathetic excuses of why you're wasting your potential. No, you have no excuse. You do whatever the fuck you want, but don't give me those excuses because the shit I had to pull myself through to come here means that your excuses are a fucking joke.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's probably some sort of like aspect of what you'd call like survivor's guilt in there.
Oh, totally.
But I think also in you
it's real.
But there's a little bit of like, you're angry
Very.
about it.
Very.
But that's why too when we talk about
we killed him as a species.
Yeah. But when we talk about like when we're working with people, right? And like you're not always going to take the fucking nice approach. Even with the podcast and the way we talk these things, people would accuse you of using the F word too much or being
That's
too
very true.
brash.
That is very true.
Or all of
this
things,
is true.
But all of that stuff is, when I look at it through the lens of how you're going to see things, don't tell me what to fucking do. You don't have any authority over me. And then the tough love thing is kind of the way it has to be done.
But okay, but also let me explain. Well, first of all, two things on this. Why the tough love and also the authority. So from a very early age, my relationship with authority is that weak. You know what his last conversation with my father was? I was there. It's on the phone, my brother calls and he's like, his last words on the phone were, I give you money so you don't call me. That was the last conversation he ever had with my brother. And he hangs up. I was there in the room when he said that. And I was like, oh. You know why? Because he was so afraid his fucking wife would hear that Jerome had called again. You know that he bragged around that the only kids he ever raised were not his own? Because the only kid he raised was her kids and not his. He used to brag about it and wonder why I get upset. Yeah. He always say, I like girls better because of like that woman had 2 kids, 1 boy, 1 girl. And he basically said, I prefer girls because I prefer her. Do you know that from the time I was 15 to, 16 to, 30, all he told me was how much he wanted to have sex with her. Yeah. He started raising her. She was, 8 or some shit like that. His stepdaughter. Like he's like, but because I was like, you keep saying you want girls and everything. He's like, yeah, because I want to bang her. That's why. Like she keeps strangling in my arm. I hate it. I get a hard on and everything. Yeah, that was my father raising me, telling me that shit while he's in that house. Yeah, that's the authority that I saw as a man, and that fucking weakness of it, and treating my brother the way he did. That's the weakness of that I saw in that. And then the other authority that I have is that fucking witch from hell, who's just a fucking abuse walking around, like the shit I went through with her, like slamming my face in the walls. But it's not, again, I'm talking about, it's not the physical stuff, it's the mental stuff. The humiliations were on a daily basis, man. Continuously. It was that continuous pressure. And again, for me, with my sensitivity, it's through the roof, you know what I mean? So that's what, by the way, the sexual stuff, the sexual abuse is the least of my problem.
Yeah.
I don't, and I'm sorry for people that got sexually abused. I don't mean to be mean or demeaning about this, but a guy sucking my dick, other people have done it since then, women, not men. I did not complain.
Yeah.
So, you know what killed me? Jiu-jitsu. Because I got in weirder position than that with men by doing jiu-jitsu. And then, you know what I realized with jiu-jitsu? This is just someone touching your body.
Yeah.
There is nothing sexual about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You're in sexual position and there's nothing sexual about it.
At that young age, though, before then, it's just like everything is now touching your body is correlated with weird. What
the first time.
You know,
The first time it was exploration.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it just happened once, I'd be like, yeah, a guy touched my dick.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gay.
Yeah.
How do you know? Because
Yeah.
a guy sucked my dick, I didn't get hard. I know I'm not gay. I like the girl, I didn't like the guy. I'm not gay, I'm cool, I know.
Yeah.
No problem with that. The second time is what
Then
stung.
you're starting to be manipulated.
No, I got forced into it because of authority.
Exactly.
Of someone
Fear
older
of
than
authority.
me. Because of my father on the other side, was that's where authority, like there's a number of things like that, but authority is a real issue. Yeah.
So if we go through with all of that, it just it sounds to me like just shitty.
No, we're not there. No, wait, we're not. We are only just now. We're going to Africa.
Exactly. So I want to say we get to this point here. Now, is your brother, when you went to Africa, is your brother still alive at that time? Okay. So but you're basically at what age when you go to Africa?
14.
14. You're pretty much just need to get the fuck out.
I'd do anything at that stage to get the fuck
How
out.
do you even pull that off?
Right. So I go there to spend a month in July. I always remember. And it's my uncle and my aunt and their 3 kids. And there's something that I see that even this, I'm at least another hour on this.
No, we're good.
Now
We're
when we
good.
started, we're good.
We're charging.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I'm just making sure it's running.
He has a wife and 3 kids. And they're super family oriented. Every dinner is like all 5 of them talking, like he's a school teacher. So he does their schoolwork with them, and then we sit down and everything is done as a family. And I'm looking, going like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And there's a bond between everybody. And I'm like, this is nice.
So what's what most people would describe as normal, probably?
Oh, it wasn't to me. I saw that and I was like,
Is this a trap?
no, I don't understand what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Why are you guys talking to each other so much? Like there's no, by the way, to me it's weird because I'm like, do you guys ever spend time alone? I'm just curious. And the kids are living in one room, but everybody's always talking and nice, and there's no screaming. There's no problems. And I'm like, is that what you guys do on a regular basis? So, that's kind of weird. So, but I'm like, by the way, at this time I'm feeling hard in school. All right, I forgot those parts. So, the year before that, I actually spent 10 weeks outside of school. Like I would leave in the morning, go fuck around in Paris, and come back at night like I was in school. And my mother, that's when my mother goes for her second husband. Yeah, second husband. So she left for a month in Mexico. So I was my father, who doesn't give a shit. So I just did not go to school for 3 weeks.
Just wandered Paris.
Yeah, and so it's funny because eventually you get caught, obviously, because I'm fucking 11, 12. Right?
Yeah.
And the school thought the best punishment was to throw me out of school for 3 weeks. It's like I should do this more often.
I just did,
anyway,
I just tried to
I
do
know.
that.
So I go back to school and everything, but I'm failing really hard because I'm not working, and that's when authority also starts to go up. So teachers telling me what to do.
Yeah.
By the way, I can't blame them. I was probably not the easiest, but I'm smart enough to usually make it work.
Yeah.
And so I'm going there, and he's offering to help me with math and to get me back good in school because I'm about to fail. I'm about to double my class. I'm basically, and again, my father has sold his apartment. And I remember that. To this day, this is the one time I got scared. Because I'm like, I'm going to live in the street. Like, literally, I'm 13, and this is really what I thought. I know it's not rational, but I can tell you that I was convinced I was going to be on the street, living on the street, and that scared me. Like, I have nowhere to go. Where am I going to go? It's not true. There was my grandparents or whatever, but at that moment I felt so alone, going like, I'm going to live on the streets. Well, it's because he's going away with that. And by the way, he found another one because a woman was such a bitch. Her son ended up in a fucking asylum with schizophrenia, like hardcore and everything. And he took care of that kid when he never took care of my brother. Because his excuse was like she doesn't want to acknowledge that he has problems or stuff like that. So, I mean, the whole thing was just so fucked up. Anyway, so I see my uncle and my aunt and their kids, and for 3 weeks there, I'm like, this is a place to be, to stay. I need some kind of stability, like especially me. And they don't scream. Everything is stable, and that attracted me a lot because I'm like things have to stop moving. It's a raging ocean constantly since I'm fucking 4 years old, maybe before. I just don't remember. And so I started to talk to them, and I was like, can I stay? Go to school here, and then they offered and everything, and so they basically, I go to France, and then they snuck me back into Africa. So I ran away to Africa, stay with my uncle, and everything. So I get there, and my uncle teaches in the bush, like it's called Catiola. Boaké is the big town, and there's Catiola, which is a town. It's a fucking village. Most houses is, like the metal, and then the mud and everything, no electricity, no toilet, no nothing, with people cooking in the center of the stuff. That's first girlfriend. And I mean, technically not. Anyway, so he teaches in the bush, and he's teaching the local high school. So there's two high schools. There's the high school where all the kids go, and then there's a high school for the white kids, the rich kids, and which kids means the teacher's kids, and that's all where the white kids are. And he's like, but you're not going there. You're coming with me. And so I ended up in the local high school. I was the only white student ever in that high school, and I probably to this day. I'm 14. Now, I'm 14. They're all 20, 21. Because they go to school later because of many different things.
Well, and often like birth dates aren't really...
Right. Like next time they go in town, they're going to declare the kid, which is 5 years later. And so they will have beards, kids, and everything. And I'm 14 going, what the fuck? And so I get there. By the way, they shave my...
kid in fifth grade
I had those beautiful hair that they give me a buzz cut. First day I cried. Because then I realized, fuck, I'm in Africa. And I started crying, I remember. Like, no, I just have hair in my eyes. But no, I'm crying. And so this is my life in Africa for a year. And by the way, Africa, like, talk about... So I want to go for stability, and I ended up in the fucking 17th century in the bush. And life is so different. But he showed me how soft I was growing up in Paris. Like, he gave me a vision of the world that nothing else could have given me. This is the greatest thing that happened to me, is going to Africa. The greatest thing, because this is the world where it truly is, which is violent, dangerous. You can die, not tomorrow, but today. Like, you're here, there's something happening. We die within the next 10 minutes, and there's nothing. So that illusion of control with personal responsibility, I've learned the limits of that in Africa. Where, civil war happens, a bug happens, a disease happens we don't have a name for, you're dead. And nature does not care. Because there's 7 billion, 8 billion of us now, nature does not give a shit. As long as it keeps... So there's things like this that I learned in Africa, but at 14, autistic kid, it's a big jump.
You'd also mentioned, was it Africa or was it South America, when you had mentioned the being somewhere without quality education. We kind of shit on
Brazil.
Okay, we kind of shit on
because they actually had
system.
very good quality education because of the Jesuits and the stuff like that, and the French system. They actually had very high level education in Africa because you were forced to go to school. In Brazil, you were forced, but the teachers were gone or whatever. It's a shitty system. That's when I learned what third grade education will do to a population. Like the incapacity to process information, like how much it matters. I learned to respect school when I was in Brazil, actually.
Which is always funny because we talk a lot bad about the way the school system is.
Totally.
And also both of us are not huge fans of authority, especially in the school thing at all. Ask anyone who taught me ever. But like that is very interesting, is that like you at least have, when you're saying these things about the school, you do have the understanding of what the other side of that is.
I understand the need for it. There's no question. I don't like the system.
That whatever it is right now,
but we need a form of school.
Without it,
no question.
So let's fix this.
No question. Like we need a form of school. I've seen that firsthand. We need school. This is where you kill a population, a culture, is with the schooling. The wrong schooling, you'll destroy a culture faster than anything else. So there was an important. So, but I'm in Africa, and then we come back when I'm 15 something, and my mother comes to Africa and asks me to go back with her because she found a new guy, because she divorced the last one, and she found a new guy. Fuck that story. So the new guy is married. Oh man, she was such a fucked up. That woman. Right. So new guy is married. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So I'm 16, 17, because I went blonde for a year and a half. Right. One time when I was 17, she asked me to send her flowers, posing as her boyfriend to make that guy jealous. That's some fucked up shit to do to a kid, to your own son. Yeah. Don't do that, ladies. Don't do that shit. That hurts. So he's married, right? He's from Vietnam, I remember. He's married. She keeps telling me how much he helped her discover herself sexually and stuff like that. I was like, what the fuck are you telling me this for? Is that more of your fucking games with me? Yes, he was. And so she takes me through all the stuff that I don't want to know. And right. So he's married. The woman knows, the wife knows. Mm-hmm. And my mother basically is his mistress or whatever. They go on vacation and they take pictures. And at some point she gets pissed because he doesn't want to leave the wife. But he always told her he was never going to leave his wife. He just likes to have women on the side and everything. She goes to the woman with the pictures, that fucking bitch, and shows her like, to force her to leave. She say, I don't want to leave him. And so she gets pissed, starts blasting that woman, saying, look at that bitch, she's so weak, she doesn't want to leave him, like that. I mean, the whole thing is fucking insane, right? A fucking 6 months later, she's telling me the story about another woman who went with pictures to the wife of the guy to make them split up, and she's blasting that woman for doing that.
Because she's so crazy.
The same shit she did 6 months earlier. And I'm like, are you fucking insane? The answer is yes. But this is me, 15 and a half from 17, and me saying like, I'm not going back to Paris to live with you. But she kept fucking, because now she has that fake like, but I'm your mother kind of thing. So she pulled that shit on me for like 2 years crying because she looked bad as a mother. By the way, that's why she came back to get me at 5. That's what I discovered later on, because she was afraid of looking bad as a mother. And so she made me pay for it because she didn't want me there. She just didn't want to look bad as a mother. And so I paid for that. On top of everything else.
That doesn't explain in a logical way, but that seems to line up too then with the whole like, well, you were just a pain in the ass kid, you know, all that stuff
exactly.
later on, where it's like, oh, you resent a little kid. Like that's
on top of everything, all the abuse and everything. Totally. Yeah. And so like that's up until she finds the fourth husband and more shit, but basically that was up until 17, 18 or stuff like that. So the relationship with authority is insane. And so I found Jiu-Jitsu at 19, which saved me because I had like rough 17 to 19 until Jiu-Jitsu were rough years. Like that's when you see that with a lot of autistic kids, by the way, 16, 17, 18, those are the violent years. Yeah. Those are rough years. This is the end, you know, the brain, the puberty stops and everything. Those are very rough years. One were extremely hard. This is when I was 18, I don't know if I told the story with the amphetamine packs and off I go.
I think
no.
So.
All right. So I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
My brother took care of that for me. But I did do amphetamine for like 6 months just to see, because my brother was like, oh, try that. I was like, yeah, sure. So like everything else, I can take 6 and I'm fine. So one day, the voices got a little bit too loud, right? And the rage is building up to a degree where I was like, I am going to kill someone. Like either I enlist if I had been in the States, I would have enlisted in the army. And then they would have used that and I would have been Jason Bourne. Yeah. But it could have been another life.
Only because we always got a war on tap for you.
There's a new one coming up, don't worry. Iran is coming. And so I was like, I need to find a way out. I'm living with my grandparents at the time. Yeah, right, by the way. I leave my uncle and my aunt when I'm like 17 and I moved to Paris with my grandparents. Thank God for my grandmother. She was the one Bowie in my life was my grandmother. She was there to give me maternal love. I called her mom from the time I was 8 on. And when my mother learned that, she didn't speak to her for 5 years. Yeah, she learned that when I was like 20. And she didn't speak to her for 5 years because it made her feel bad as a woman, as a mother. Yeah, that's how fucked up that woman is. Anyway, but so thank God for my grandmother. And I was like, I'm going to kill someone. That rage has to go somewhere. So I was like, I can't take it anymore. So I take the whole box of amphetamines. I remember it's 24. 24 of them. And I'm like, I'm going to walk around. And by the time I'm done walking, 2 choices. I fix the problem or I jump in the sand. So I kill myself. And so I'm 2 hours into my walk and I'm going toward the bridge and I'm like, all right, I'll jump. I'm done with this. I jump. I remember there were 3 people there. And I'm about to jump and something went click. And rage went away. I had an epiphany, which is mine own. I will not tell you what it was, but I understood myself and some very important part of the human psyche at that particular moment. I'm sure the amphetamines helped. And I went back home and I was fine. Couldn't sleep for 2 days, but that's another problem. That was enough amphetamines to keep me awake for a while. Yeah, but I was like, I'm fine. And so that was when the voices calmed down, right? I fixed that, and then I found jiu-jitsu, and then my life started to take shape. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu really taught me everything, because it taught me the capacity. First of all, the whole sexual abuse was literally fixed by jiu-jitsu, because I understood that at some point, I remember like with triangles and stuff like that, going like, there's nothing sexual about that. So there's no problem really with sex. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's just someone touching you. Yeah. If you want to see it like that.
Yeah.
There's just someone touching you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to, and I guess too, like everybody's gonna be able to cope and process in a different way. But that's where you had the moment where you're able to be like, all right, at the very least, I don't have to be worried about this situation going forward.
By the way, let's be honest. Mine was never dangerous. There's different kind of sexual abuse. Yeah. No matter how people want to lump everything together.
But there is at some point something is more dangerous than another.
No, but like, for example, me, there was someone touching me. Yeah. Again, other people. Women have sucked my dick. I never complained.
Yeah.
Right. The guy didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
There was no violence. He forced me to do it, so it's still sexual abuse and all that stuff. But there was no raping me.
Yeah.
There was not taking me somewhere and shoving something in my... You know what I mean? Like there was no damage done to me. There's different kind of rape.
Yeah.
Same thing. There's a rape where you're being done violence, and then there's the one where either you're passed out. It's not the same. I'm not saying anything is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. My abuse was an abuse, but it was not a rape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did not get violated. It's violated. Yeah. It's not the same. It is not the same. So I was never in danger.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you get into jiu-jitsu, though, you see when you're describing everything now, it sounds to me like at that one moment there, you started to have something that you could actually focus on and build and progress.
Right.
That
is an art.
Which isn't anything that I had heard about leading up until that point.
Yeah, right.
Up until that point, everything is like chaos and damage control.
Right. And by the way, now what I have is now I can build my vehicle for heroism.
Yeah.
Because now for the first time in my life, I have control over adversity, which is what jiu-jitsu is. I can learn to move myself in a way that I can control a damaging outside force. It's up to me now. I can have an impact on the damage coming from the outside, which I never had before. And I can train to do that, and I'm naturally good at it, and I can learn to get better and better so that in a way, no one will ever have control on me. Mm-hmm. The first session, the guy mounted me, started choking me, and I had the biggest panic attack ever. Like literally, elevator trapped on fire. I went, I must have changed color because the guy went, whoa! He freaked out, and he go, whoa! You should calm down a bit. I'm like, oh. I'm like this barrier acid to my vein. Like I had elevator trapped on fire, which I understand better now. On top of it with the whole thing, but I was like, I'm coming back tomorrow because I'm gonna control that feeling. Because if I can control that feeling, I'll never be scared ever again in my life. Which is the only reason I did jiu-jitsu. I did not want to be in fear anymore. It worked. I was right. I never got scared after that. But something suddenly was in my control of me, and it was up to me to get that good. Because I saw what they were doing to me. I'm like, if I get that good, I'll be able to do that to people. Or more importantly, I'll be able to not have that done on me anymore. I'll become so good that you won't be able to get that.
Yeah.
And now I can fight back.
Yeah.
Not even fight back. It was, you're not gonna have authority over me anymore if I get good enough. And so I went, fucking, and that's my vehicle of heroism started with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So that was my lifesaver.
Yeah. Well, let's ride this wave out, right? So where you talk about, that does sound like that's the moment when the vehicle came into existence.
Yep.
Because you were still surrounded by the remnants of this previous situation and everything. And then that happens and you're able to start moving out of it, or at least towards something you want instead of just away from something you don't. And what is that taking you towards?
So weakness was always a big one.
Yeah.
Not being weak. That's the father stuff. It's like, I won't be weak. Weak means being abused.
Yeah.
Not by sexually, I'm thanking my mother, like all that stuff. That's what it means. And then never again. And not being weak because not being him, which was a major driver. So that means being strong. Well, again, I'm a kid. Being strong physically. So that's what drove me toward getting stronger and stronger. Strong at jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. And then so the weakness was a big thing because I need to be strong. So what does being strong means? Then you build that image of a strong man in your mind. So it meant being smart. The smarter I am, the less you'll damage me. It meant strong physically. So strong physically means lifting, it means jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And there was, for me, the sexual stuff was actually very important as well. So one of the biggest things with the vehicle of heroism is people are ashamed of their own position toward what they think, what it means to themselves. I'm not ashamed at all. So for me, there was three things. It was to be strong enough physically, that means jiu-jitsu and lifting. It means being smart enough, and then it means being, so for example, I never did drugs. I don't drink. I don't have an addictive personality at all. For me, and it's not a vice, but it's my way of getting past control, past society convention was sex. It was like, obviously, my guess is the sexual abuse kind of loosened the morality of sex when it came to me, which I, to this day, find ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think, especially, I mean, America especially, but people put so many rules and stuff on it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, what? And don't get me wrong, there's making love and all that stuff. I agree with all this. Having sex with your mate is very important, but that does not negate fun. And my idea of fun for me, like, and it was part of the vehicle of heroism, is like a strong man will do not crazy stuff, but things that go past normal. And since I was a kid, there was always the attraction. Obviously, it seems since I'm 5 years old, which was like, for example, having multiple women, like threesome, stuff like that. And so for me, it was a very important part to be fucking good at sex.
Yeah.
Like I was going to be like, that's my creative, like, to me, I looked at sex as an art form, just like jiu-jitsu was, just like all that stuff. And I was like, oh, so let's cultivate that.
Well, I think it's often too about having, if you have something like of a sexual nature that's even slightly traumatic at all.
Yeah.
Like often it sounds to me like a way in which it's way for you to just take control over that part of your life, really, of the way you feel over that part of your life, not in a weird way, but just in like no, this is mine. My sexuality is mine. It's not somebody.
First of all, I'm a super sexual person to start with, so you loosen up, which is probably why I say yes the first time. Like, sounds good. Let's try shit. But what I discovered though, and that's what jiu-jitsu gave me also, is you have two ways of dealing with shit. Is you can cower away from it, sorry to say, or like look at it a certain way, or you can take control, get really good at something, and make it amazing. Yeah. So I saw sex that could have been a problem, and I was like, no, it's going to be fucking amazing, because why wouldn't you want it to be amazing? So I decided to be as good as I could with sex.
Yeah.
And so, but in an art way, like, which means like every woman that I was with was I've always seen women as a piece of art anyway. Didn't say piece of ass, I say piece of art. Please don't misquote me on this one.
I'll check the subtitles on that.
Yes, please. Google, do not fuck me on this. Every woman is an art form, like they are so gorgeous and round and everything. And I was like, and my energy with a woman was like, I'm gonna try to learn from every woman as much and be in contact, and then like that, to learn as much about the human being under the skin as I can, and see what makes her move, what she likes, what, the smell of the person, all that stuff. For me, it was the, like, for me, creating bonds, social bonds was always hard. Being on the spectrum is a problem to start with, but with my upbringing on the other, bonds were hard to come by. This was the one activity where I felt I could create a bond, but then go past that, because I became really good at it, at sex, and then I was like, I can link people to me like this, but past the point of normal, getting that good at it, I was like, this is an art form. I still think to this day. And so for me, it was like, all right, so like my ex, like Tatiana, was bisexual, so we ended up having like multiple threesome, and then I learned about myself doing that. It's a lot more work than people think, by the way. Shit. Like, you all think it's flowers, it's like, try to stay hard while switching all the time. It's fucking, everybody laughs, but it's fucking hard. That's the biggest problem. is staying hard while switching all the time. Because it's a break. It sounds simple, it fucking isn't. Anyway, but that became, so I looked at my life as a constant quest of getting one more step in that vehicle of heroism. But I know something, it is up to you what you make of it.
Yeah.
You can, it's which way you want to go with it, but you can take anything, master it, and make it awesome. And the worse it was, the greater you can make it, because that energy can go somewhere.
And I think that's important too, is like you said, it's the vehicle for heroism can be whatever you define as heroism.
It's you.
And that's the thing, is in your case, you could have been like, I want to be bitter. I want to give people a taste of their own fucking medicine.
Right,
I'll
be the biggest,
spiteful.
Like spiteful and the biggest asshole is a hero. Some people, by the way, some people think that. Yeah. That's where objectivism a little bit is. It's look. Did you ever read Atlas Shrugged from Ayn Rand? Oh motherfucker. Anyway. But so some people, heroism will be like, well, every man for himself. I'm just going to be on top of everybody and dominate the world. And for me, it was never that. It was never about others. It was about me. Mm-hmm. I will be the best. My vehicle of heroism was I will be the best version I can be of the things that I judge of value, which was strength, physical and mental, and I guess sexual. Those were the things where like, this is what I want to be good at, because maybe I felt this is what I can be good at or whatever, but those were my energies. And too many people are ashamed to admit what their values when it comes to being their own hero is. And who cares?
Well, that's the thing.
That's your values. Who cares?
Yeah. So how would you advise someone go about mapping that out? Like, I don't know, people maybe haven't thought about that.
Right. Well, yeah, right. So who's your favorite superhero? He'll tell us so much about you.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever noticed that people look in their mates in what they cannot find in themselves? I've noticed so many people make a big deal about people lying, or I want the truth out of my mate. It's because you can't find it in yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are more than most likely. This is what I do to people. I ask them basically what they ask for their mates or stuff like that, because they'll tell me what their flaws of characters are. Very jealous people usually are not loyal, or they're the one likely to do the shit on the side, stuff like that. People that make such a big deal about truth are not truthful, either to you or to themselves, or stuff like that. So, I mean, like, so you look in others into what really you're looking within yourself. So look at who you admire. What are the qualities you admire in your mate? That'll tell you what you like. Who is the superhero you would like to be? Because I'd tell you, for me it was Wolverine, always.
Yeah.
You know, like completely berserk animal on one side, but trying to become a man and everything.
Completely
and
refuses to play by the rest of the X-Men rules.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fuck all of you.
Please.
But he's trying to become a better man, right? He's trying to not let the fucking side win, the rage win, which was me growing up. And so stuff like that we start to tell you. But at the end, it's like, don't be ashamed of who you think, what you think a hero is made of. It doesn't matter. It's your story, no one else. Don't be ashamed of it. And it's, by the way, it is at the core of who we are. That fear of death, you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
It is written in our cells. Like what you're doing in life with your kids, with stuff like that, is just a way of trying to outwit death. And that's what we do. That's the dichotomy of the human nature, really. You cannot stop that. So if you could, I've met so many women who, with me, could let go. Mm-hmm. I should not say so many because that sounds bad. But I've met women who me could just let go and be themselves. Their biggest source of stress is that they could barely acknowledge it to themselves. So didn't work out, they go with another dude, and it's like, yeah, but he's not treating me the way I want. But I'm like, so we talk, and I'm like, but did you tell him? He's like, well, he's not doing this or that. I'm like, then why don't you try to find someone who does? Mm-hmm. I had women saying like, I want that type of guy. I'm like, that's great. You're not going to find him in church.
Yeah.
Like that guy that I see the guys you date. That's not the dude you want though. Mm-hmm. Like the guy you want who's going to do you what you want to be, what you want him to do to you. He needs an intensity. It's on a Chinese menu.
Yeah.
If you want to be able to do those things, that means he's going to enjoy either that violence or that this or this or this. Well, that carries over to everything else. There is an intensity in me that carries over. You cannot think that switch is going to go off. Either way, that is the way it is. And so I had a lot of women being attracted by me, with my intelligence, that attracted them. But then they usually hate me for it 6 months later. You know what I mean? And you can't ask, that's the thing though, but a lot of the problem is because what their image of themselves is clashes with who they truly are. They want to be someone in society that is not fitting who they truly are inside. And you see that with guys a lot, where guys mostly, it's like 35 plus, where they just fucking give up on the hero stuff completely.
Yeah.
So women, they don't. But so they have that image of inside who they want, who they should be, what they want being done to them. They are very practical women, more than men. So you see that a lot with the sex stuff, where in the right environment, they'll let go and do whatever. But not in public, they'll deny all of it. They'll always play that role of like, but that gap is killing them. It's exhausting to look at American feminism today. Like where, I remember that fucking one with the sex strike until we get what we want.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you think women don't like sex? This is what you're saying, that women are going to use it for power,
which is
it's a commodity. Like what? Women don't like it. Yeah. This is so harmful to women, to put sex as either you're a porn star or you're someone who doesn't like it and use it as a commodity. I'm like, this is such a fucked up way of looking at the world. So women, that gap is killing women.
Well,
and I see it all the time.
And that boils down to like everything is, that's dropped in with some sort of fake binary framework. It's either this or it's this.
And by the way, that's just a way to use it. That's objective mentality.
Yeah. And I think though, when you talk about, like you described, like trying to find the hero that you want to be, like describe for that what it is. We had talked about it in the past. That sometimes there's things that you want that maybe you're like, fuck, maybe I'm embarrassed that that's the type of hero I want to be, or that there's part of it.
They are. People are.
But I think that is pretty common. Like that people have to own it, have to admit it, or at least come to terms with it, find out what you really want.
But by the way, if it's not this one, it's another one. Like if you want to look at it like that, then there is no good hero. Or you know what you end up with? A hero that is not you.
Yeah.
That your father shaped. That the TV Hollywood is shaping. Mm-hmm. Like right now, Hollywood is telling people who the hero should be. And I'm like, fuck that dude. Yeah. First of all, he's the biggest pussy in the face of the world.
I'll be goddamned if they didn't make fucking the goddamn Incredible Hulk a bitch.
Right.
They gave him glasses. Yeah. They gave him fucking.
He had to be a nerd. He's a nerd.
They made him half as small. First off,
right. Yes.
They turned him into a total professor.
So they gave him estrogen.
And they took all of his fucking rage away.
They gave him soy milk.
I'm like, you took the Incredible Hulk.
And then Thor is fat.
And you soyed him up.
Yeah. It's so. Are you gonna let Hollywood define what a hero should be? And so you see. There are women being stuck in that role, but then you see men past the age of 35 just fucking giving up.
Yeah.
There is no, and so you hear there is no hero, there is no this, but in your mind there is. It's a foundation. That Immortality Project is this is how we fight death. So if you read Ernest Becker, you'll be surprised to see in a way how it refers to Carl Friston's work of the point of life is to fight death. That's how you do it. Like that. Hero is you fighting death, so you need that. And if you could just agree with, because a lot of that stuff is within you already, where you know who you think you should be, but maybe that clashes with your father's image of a hero, with the environment you're in, the country you're in, the American culture right now, if you're in America, the European culture, if you're in Europe, the Dutch culture, where men seem to be fairly insecure. But at the end though, and this is why I want to be Daddy's voice sometimes, is there's only one person who can decide that, and it's you. At some point, you're going to have to own up to it, that it is your immortality project, no one else.
And all those weird little insecurities that you talked about that come from external factors, like I've done it, you've done it. Once you realize that you have control over some of those things that you don't believe that you have any control over, you're like, well, no, fuck, I'll just change it. I'll just move. I'll just leave.
And you realize all it takes is an action. Is one step.
Yeah.
One step. This is why I get driven insane when people won't even try the shit I give on the No Fix November or whatever. Because I'm like, all it takes is one step. By the way, you will not be that hero. That is not the point. It's not the destination. It's a journey. You don't have to be the hero to feel like you're fighting death. You just have to take a step in the direction of that mythical creature to fight death. Death will win. Entropy will win. The point is the way there is how we survive. So there is no destination outside of death. Death is destination. So you will not be the hero. That's not the point. The point is taking a step toward in whatever direction. As long as you're one step closer to that, you will feel like you are fighting death because you are. And you will feel good. So it's not about becoming the hero. It's just taking a step in that direction. And that fucking step is all it takes, and it's yours to take. But the only person that can take that step is you. And so I am driven insane by tell me what to do, sell me the stuff, tell me what to do. I'm like, I can't tell you what to do because
I don't know who you're trying to be.
I don't know who you want to be. And even if I knew, I still can't do it because you're not me, I'm not you. That seat is taken.
Yeah.
Like that seat is taken. So, but all you have to do is take a step. But if I have one thing is please do not waste your potential. Do not make that mistake. You will be on your deathbed one day and you'll realize that you have wasted your life. Is that what you want? Because you will, one day you will feel how I felt when I watched my brother die. Except it'll be about your life. You want that? Do you want to be on that deathbed and see that about you? Don't do it. Don't do that. Do not do that. All you have to do is take a step toward being the fucking hero that you want to be. It's
not simple, or it's not
it's
easy.
Simple. It's just not easy. Yeah, but and whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So why do I talk about the sex stuff? Because one of the foundation of the denial of death, the book by Ernest Becker, was that we are ashamed of what we think that vehicle of heroism is. So that's why I want to talk about sex, because it's easy to talk about strength and being smart and stuff like that. But most people will erase the stuff that they don't want others to. But that's where the problem is. It's like, no. I'm like, this is who I am. The women have been in my life know me for that aspect as well.
Yeah.
Like, Kyla will hate me for talking about all this. But this is who I am. The women in my life know that.
Well, I think we've done a really good job of establishing up to this point.
Yep.
I do think we're going to want to revisit this because I want to take this further when we get into from Brazil on.
Right. Oh, yeah, I've got some good stories about
Brazil. I know we don't have
Brazil.
a bunch of time to get into that right now, but I think we did a really good job today of laying out.
Yeah.
Like
let's do Brazil, let's do the States, because there's some good lessons. Let's do a part
because
2 on this.
I think also specifically it'll just be like the next phase of where you take this vehicle once you figure it out.
Okay, so we have Brazil, because I got some awesome stories, but then there's Torrance, because Torrance was when I was Tatiana, and that's when Strongmen and Bitches happened, because that's where all the threesomes mostly happened at that time. So then we have...
My mother listens to this podcast,
Yeah, but I have a French accent, so it saves me. And that's when Strongmen and Bitches is going to happen, is when I get to the Torrance part, because that's when the fun part starts. I can give you...
That'll be the StrongFit Podcast After Hours episode.
I'll say, all right. I'll tell you after that if you want me to talk about certain things, but it's the most hilarious stuff ever.
Awesome.
Like, you'll tell me if you're okay with... you'll tell me if you're okay with what I want to say.
I'm okay with anything. It's okay.
Oh, it's going to be funny as shit, because,
But...
Like, by the way, if I start to go into that stuff, hide the kids.
Yes, yeah.
Like, do not...
Well, at this point, so there's enough casual F words that come flying by. I'm assuming it's
but usually it's not like
probably not like that.
Not about that. Or that would be so funny to talk about.
Well, I don't even know if I've been doing any ad stuff or any of our stuff at the end.
I don't think sponsors would want to be especially the next one.
But we can stick with the ones that don't pay us, which is StrongFit.com,
yes, exactly.
StrongFitEquipment.com, MantaFitness.com.
I got so many good stories I never got to tell.
We've got. Everything else you can find it all at StrongFit.com. StrongFit.com/seminars for all the seminar dates. StrongFit1 on Instagram. Tyler F. and Stone. UK32, Rare Barracuda. Julian'sCorner.com. And I'm certain that there's going to be other things that I'm forgetting. But follow us on Instagram. You'll catch the rest. So thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week.
All right.